I used to believe that silence was peace. That if no one argued, if no one raised their voice, then everything must be fine. At 62, after my stroke, I learned how quickly the world can shrink. It happened on an ordinary Tuesday morning. I dropped a cup in the kitchen. My right hand simply stopped listening to me. The cup shattered. I didn't feel pain at first. I felt confusion. Then fear. My younger brother, Marcus, moved in 2 weeks later. "Just until you're back on your feet," he said, standing in my doorway with a suitcase and a reassuring smile. "You shouldn't be alone right now." At the time, I was grateful. Marcus had always been the responsible one. Organized. Calm. Good with numbers. After my wife passed away 5 years earlier, he was the one who checked in most often. So when he took over the cooking, the bills, the phone calls, I let him. I told myself this was what family did. At first, his help felt like relief. He made schedules for my medication. He drove me to physical therapy. He spoke to doctors so I wouldn't get overwhelmed. But slowly, his help began to sound like instruction. "You don't need to answer that call," he'd say when the phone rang. "It's probably someone trying to sell you something." When my old coworker left a voicemail, Marcus deleted it before I heard it. "They just want to pity you," he said. "You don't need that energy." I believed him. It was easier than wondering if I was losing more than movement in my hand. The neighbors stopped visiting after a while. Marcus told them I tired easily. That I needed rest. That visits upset me. I never said that. But I also never corrected him. Weeks turned into months. My calendar emptied. My world narrowed to the living room, the television, and Marcus's voice explaining what was best for me. He began managing my finances. "Just temporary," he said, sliding papers across the table. "It's safer if I handle it. You've been through enough." I signed without reading. I trusted the tone of his voice more than the words on the page. Somewhere along the way, I stopped asking questions. The first crack appeared on a Thursday afternoon. Marcus had gone out for groceries, a rare thing, since he usually insisted I stay seated while he handled errands. The house felt strange without him. Quiet in a way that wasn't heavy. The doorbell rang. I almost didn't answer. Standing on the porch was Mrs. Reynolds from 2 houses down. She held a small plate wrapped in foil. "I hope I'm not bothering you," she said gently. "I haven't seen you in a while." Her eyes searched my face, not with curiosity, but concern. We sat at the kitchen table. I noticed how carefully she spoke, as if testing the ground beneath every sentence. "I didn't want to say anything," she began, "but your brother asked me not to speak to you anymore." I laughed softly. "That sounds like him. He worries too much." She didn't smile. "He said you weren't well enough to make your own decisions," she continued. "That you get confused." The word settled heavily in my chest. Confused. I hadn't felt confused. Slower, maybe. Weaker. But not confused. After she left, I sat alone at the table, staring at the signed documents Marcus had placed in a neat folder. I opened them for the first time. His name was everywhere. Power of attorney. Access to accounts. Authorization forms. I tried to remember when I had agreed to all of it. I couldn't. That night, I listened to Marcus move around the house. The sound of drawers opening. Papers shifting. For the first time since my stroke, I felt fear that had nothing to do with my body. The next morning, I insisted on going outside alone. Marcus frowned. "That's not a good idea." "I need air," I said. He hesitated too long before agreeing. I walked slowly down the driveway, leaning on my cane, feeling the sun on my face. Mrs. Reynolds waved from across the street. So did two other neighbors. They hadn't disappeared. I had been hidden. When I returned inside, Marcus was on the phone. He ended the call abruptly when he saw me. "You shouldn't be pushing yourself," he said. "I'm not pushing," I replied. "I'm choosing." The word surprised both of us. That afternoon, I called my lawyer. I listened carefully. I asked questions. I didn't rush. Marcus watched from the doorway, his calm finally cracking. For the first time, I saw it clearly. His help had never been about my recovery. It had been about control. That evening, I sat alone in the living room, the television off, the house quiet. But this silence was different. It wasn't obedience. It was awareness. And for the first time in a long while, I knew exactly where I stood.